Assalamualaikum viewers. Welcome to Siyasat News. I am Ayman Umar. Two doctors test positive 20 days after COVID shot. Two postgraduate doctors, one each at the Nizam's Institute of Medical Sciences and the Chest Hospital, contracted COVID-19 20 days after taking the first dose of vaccination against the disease. Both doctors work in intensive care unit in the pulmonary departments. The doctors were wearing personal protection kits and following safety protocols while at the hospital, the senior says. A senior doctor on condition of anonymity explained, hospital wards have the COVID-19 virus. The doctors are dealing with severe cases and there are chances of contracting from them. Dr. Srinivas Rao, senior resident at NIMS, said, vaccination is not the reason for the disease. The doctors have contracted COVID-19 as they are in proximity with the patients. They are working in the high-risk respiratory ward. Both doctors are under observation and their symptoms are being closely monitored. In the private sector, 3 doctors contracted COVID-19 after 24 and 48 hours of the first dose. They are all stable now, according to sources. Dr. Mustafa Afzal, senior infection specialist, said, vaccination is not the reason for the disease, as the first dose is expected to trigger immune system for antibodies. The antibodies will be formed after the second dose, and that will take 2 months. Hence, infection is contracted by exposure to those who are carriers of the virus. It is yet to be understood whether, after vaccination, the disease will be mild or severe. With a large pool of vaccinated beneficiaries, it will soon be clear how effective is the vaccine in protecting them from the disease. Parliamentary panel intends to visit Galwan. The Parliamentary Standing Committee on Defence intends to visit the Galwan Valley and the Pangong Lake in the eastern Ladakh region, which has been witness to a violent standoff between the troops of India and China, sources said. However, it may seek the permission of the government before visiting the strategically located areas, they said. The 30-member committee, chaired by senior BJP leader and former Union Minister Joel Oram, and of which Congress leader Rahul Gandhi is a member, intends to visit the eastern Ladakh region in the last week of May or June, the sources said. The decision to visit these areas was taken in the panel's latest meeting, they said. Gandhi did not attend it. The panel's visit to the line of actual control depends on the approval from the government, the sources said. After a 9-month standoff, militaries of India and China reached an agreement on disengagement in the north and south banks of Pangong Lake that mandates both sides to cease forward deployment of troops in a phased, coordinated and verifiable manner. On Thursday, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh made a detailed statement in Parliament on the disengagement pact. According to the agreement, China has to pull back its troops to east of Finger 8 areas in the northern bank, while the Indian personnel will be based at their permanent base at Dhansing Thapa post near the Finger 3 in the region. TS stays at higher prices of onions by March. Onions are all set to leave consumers teary-eyed once again as the prices are soaring in states on which Telangana is heavily dependent for supplies. Telangana lacks adequate onion production and imports the bulk from Maharashtra, Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh and Andhra Pradesh. Onion prices in the state have increased from 25 rupees per kg to 35 rupees per kg in a week in the retail market and is set to touch price range of 50 to 70 rupees per kg. In the ongoing Rabi season, farmers in TS have opted for paddy, groundnut, maize and wheat but not onions. As per statistics available with the marketing department, Telangana state consumes 5.08 lakh metric tons of onions every year or 42,400 metric tons per month. Of this, the state grows less than 2.5 lakh metric tons, that too in the Kharif season. It procures the rest of the onions from other states, and any fluctuation in prices in those states immediately impacts Telangana. The Agriculture and Horticulture Department speaks of encouraging onion cultivation only when the prices hit the roof. The policy of offering soaps or incentives to farmers to encourage onion cultivation remains on paper. No subsidy being provided on onion seeds. There is no minimum support price nor marketing facilities. Besides, productivity is low when compared to with other crops, which is also discouraging farmers. Farmers are forced to pay more for purchasing quality onion seeds, fertilizers and pesticides to protect crops as they are more prone to pest attacks. Onion prices are also under the control of a traders' cartel. All these factors make farmers to shy away from onion cultivation. Farmers have not sown onion in even 100 acres in the ongoing crop season. The normal sown area in Yasangi is 21,869 acres. Last year, it was sown in 9,536 acres by this time of the year. This year, it was sown in just 92 acres against the 9,405 acres, which is the normal sown area by now. Mahbubnagar district alone accounts for 80% of onion production of state. but this time there are no takers even there. The biggest onion market in state is Malakpet market, where 10,000 quintals of onions land every day from other states. This has come down to less than 5,000 quintals and could go down further. This is feared to lead to severe shortage of onion stocks and escalation of prices by March. Tensions running high in Myanmar. Mass street demonstrations in Myanmar entered the second week on Saturday with neither protesters nor the military government they seek to unseat showing any signs of backing off from the confrontations. Protesters in Yangon, the country's biggest city, again congregated at Helden intersection, a key crossroads from which groups fanned out to other points, including the embassies of the United States and China. They marched despite an order banning gatherings of 5 or more people. The US, especially after announcement by President Joe Biden of sanctioning against the military regime, is regarded as an ally in the protester struggle against the February 1st coup. China is detested as an ally of the ruling generals, whose support is crucial to them keeping their grip on power. Demonstration also resumed in the second biggest city, Mandalay, with lawyers making up one large contingent. The military ousted the country's leader, Aung San Suu Kyi, and a government and prevented recently elected lawmakers from opening a new session of parliament. Suu Kyi and other senior members of her government and party remain in detention. The junta, led by Senior General Min Aung Hlaing, said it was forced to act because Suu Kyi's government failed to properly investigate allegations of fraud in last year's election, which her National League for Democracy party won in a landslide. The Election Commission said there is no evidence to support the military's claims. Saturday's protests coincided with the birthday of General Hong Song, the country's independent leader and father of Suu Kyi. His name and image have appeared on signs carried by some demonstrators. Authorities have stepped up the arrest of politicians and activists, and in areas outside Yangon have become more aggressive in trying to break up the protests. According to the Independent Assistance Association for Political Prisoners, at least 326 people have been detained since the coup, of which 303 remain in custody. There have been many reports over the past 3 nights of raids during a curfew in which security personnel have tried to seize people from their homes. In several cases, neighbors and others people have rushed to the scene in such numbers that security forces have abandoned their attempts to haul in their targets. Videos of such raids have been widely posted on social media. India takes lead in the second test in Chennai. As expected, the ball gripped, bounced and turned sharply. It was a tricky pitch to bat on, but an elegant Rohit Sharma made it look easy. The opener's classy 161, his 7th test century, put India in the driver's seat against England in the second test here at the M.A. Chidambaram Stadium on Saturday. At stumps, India were 300 for 6 in 88 overs with Rishabh Pant 33 not out and Akshar Patel 5 not out, threatening to pile on runs. Winning a crucial toss on a Munson track, India suffered an early jolt when England pacer Ollie Stone trapped Shubman Gill in the second over of the day. But Rohit, in the calm company of Cheteshwar Pujara, steadied the ship by stitching together a brisk partnership of 83 runs. India, however, found themselves on the back foot again shortly before lunch. Pujara's dismissal after poking a shot away from his body of left-arm spinner Jack Leach triggered a mini collapse. Virat Kohli's stay in the middle lasted just 5 balls. Off-spinner Moeen Ali knocked down the Indian skipper's off-stump to dismiss him for a duck. Kohli stood there in disbelief before trudging back to the pavilion. At this juncture, India were 86 for 3. Mumbaikars Rohit and Ajinkya Rahane forged a delightful 4th-wicket stand of 162 runs of 310 balls to put an end to their lean patch. With Rahane 67 of 149 balls playing the perfect second fiddle, Rohit took the responsibility of unsettling the bowlers. Rohit set the tone for the day by pulling Ben Stokes for back-to-back boundaries, including a 6. Skipper Joe Root had to take Stokes off the attack and he never returned to bowl. Against spinners, Rohit used his feet effectively. His sweep shots were perfect examples of controlled aggression. It was a treat for the weekend crowd that walked through the turnstiles of cricket ground in India for the first time since January 2020. Rohit took just 130 balls to complete his century with a parallel shot towards fine leg. Moeen, playing his first test after an 18-month break, struggled to offer the same control that Leach provided them from the other end. The productive sweep shot proved to be Rohit's undoing in the end as he holed out to a deep square leg of Leach. Rahane too followed suit. He was bowled while trying to sweep a full-length delivery shortly after England's appeal for a bat catch was wrongly turned on by the third umpire. Rahane said the plan was to play with positive intent. You can't be too defensive on this pitch and need to be one step ahead of the opposition. We had discussed in our batting meeting what shots to play and how to make them change their game plan, and that's what Rohit did by playing sweeps, said Rahane. Thank you.